Well, I managed to pick up this really cheaply on Amazon, and I think it's going to make some great fridge magnets and possibly some really fun pendants. So I'm going to have a go at decorating these up first. Now, I'm going to be using mica powders and other powders and things to decorate these because they are quite fun. And the first one I'm going to do is this dolphin. Now, the dolphin's going to be one solid colour, and for this one I'm using a silver grey mica powder. And all I'm doing for this one is making sure that it's fully covered inside. Now, I am going to finish these off using a little technique as well once they're all cured up. And I think you'll enjoy that. And it just adds something to the items as well as makes them stand out a little bit more. And I'll show you that once these are cured. As I always say, I like to put my powders on with these little brushes, and I clean them up as well. I soak them in dish soap, something like Dawn or Fairy or something like that, dilute it down overnight, and then just rinse them through the next day, and they come out lovely and clean. As you can see, I've got a lot in there, and they're all nice and clean. Does stain one or two of them, but the stains don't seem to matter. So there we go, that's my dolphin done. I'm going to make sure he's got all nice and smooth. There's not too many lines in it when it comes to curing it. And that's him done. Now this one I want to do in some striped colours. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to put, or try and put, some black lines in there. I'm not the neatest of people. I'm sure that you can get in there nice and neat. If you're not the neatest person, similar to me, then what I do is I take a baby wipe, put it on the end of a stick, and then try and clean it up a little bit more, because mica powder does tend to get everywhere, and that way you can get a lot neater lines. All I do is fold it over like that, and then try and get rid of some of this. Thin out my lines a little bit, but also it will make it a lot neater. But I'm sure you are neater than me. And now inside there, I'm going to put some yellow mica powder. Now don't get too much on your little makeup brush. You don't need it absolutely everywhere. All you need is to have enough on there to be able to put it on to the mould. That's what I find. And then again, you can go in there and clean that up using your baby wipe. And the next colour I'm going to be using is white. And then I'm going to put a couple of white stripes in there. And then I'm going to do the tail again in possibly a little bit of black, and the front in a little bit of yellow. So there we go. I'm putting that on there right up to my line. Might put a little bit of yellow in the back of that fin here, or that tail. Bit of black here, and then I'm going to do yellow at the front. For the turtle, I'm going to be using the chameleon flakes, and for this one I like to do the head and the body different colours. So I'm going to be doing a gold here for the head and for the fins and the tails, and then I'll do the body slightly different colour. And again, when you use moulds and that, you know, open them up a little bit, make it a little bit easier for you to get your things in by using your hands like this. Don't stretch them too much, but you're not going to damage them by opening them up like this. And now I can go in and clean up the body of this a little bit more using my baby wipe. This time I'm just popping it on my finger. I will link this in the description below, so don't worry, you will be able to get hold of it if you want to get hold of one. And then for the body, what I'm going to be using is, I'm going to be using chameleon powders, but I'm going to do them in different colours like this. So I'm going to put a bit there, go in and clean it up a little bit, and then fill these bits in. I'm going to be doing a magenta for the centre, and then for the other gaps that I've got here, I'm going to be using the galaxy. So it's not going to be nice and colourful. There we go, he's all finished. And then for the starfish, I'm going to be using the chameleon flakes. And you know how much I love chameleon flakes. Well, I love all these sorts of things. But what I'm doing is, I'm going to go through, put some down like this into places. I use a brush with chameleon flakes because it puts them down better. And I'm using a variety of different colours on this to make it really quite colourful. I'm using 3 different colours here, and this last one I'm going to make sure that I fill in all the gaps and burnish that down really well so there's no gaps and it's all sitting lovely and flat. And then of course mine wouldn't be complete without some chrome powders, and I'm going to use the chrome powders again using the makeup sponges for the seahorse. And I'm going to use a variety of different ones. It's really important when you're using chrome powders to make sure that you get these and you burnish them well, because you'll get a much better shine with them at the end. So I'm going to finish these ones off and then show you how I'm going to pour them. So I'm ready to mix up my resin now, and as always, I mix up using a mixer. Now, Resin has sent me a new mixer. I have to say, I didn't pay for it. They sent it to me free of charge to have a look at. And it comes, instead of it coming with these hard paddles, it comes with these silicone screw paddles. So they've upgraded it, really. And apparently it mixes quicker and mixes with less bubbles. But I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know. I did ask the question because I thought it was really, really important to ask the question if they're going to sell these paddles separately if you've already got the other mixer. And I got a response back saying, unfortunately not. And the reason is these are actually heavier and do a little bit more work. So what they've done in the new one is they've upgraded the motor to compensate for that. So the motor in the other one isn't as strong. I don't understand all the technical terms. Isn't as strong as it needs to be to use these particular paddles, which is a shame, I know, but there we go. Now, if you've already got the other mixer, I've been using that for months and it works lovely, but I'm going to try it with this one. Really easy to use, exactly the same way, and it comes with the small paddles and the large paddles. And if I've got a discount code for it or anything, I'll link that in the description. I've got my resin measured out, and what I'm going to do is pop that in the middle there. The reason I'm doing two at once is because I'm also going to put it in my bubble extractor as well to make sure there's no bubbles in it. I'm going to lower that down and it will click in place. Now, this is very well weighted as well, so it's not going to knock over, and I can turn on the mixer. I'm using the small paddles for this one because I don't need to use the large paddles. But if I was using a larger jug or mixing up a lot more, then obviously I would use the larger paddles. It definitely is pulling that from the sides a lot more than the other one, and seems to be mixing it up quite well. I'm going to mix this for 4 minutes and then I'll come back to you. And it is nice to have one that's lovely and clean and not covered in resin. So that's had 4 minutes now, and I can just turn them off. Always make sure you turn them off before you raise it, because if not, you are going to make a mess. I'm really quite surprised. It hasn't mixed extra bubbles in there, and this is quite a thick resin as well. So that's good. And it certainly looks like it's mixed it up. Just gonna get all that off there. Take out my little arms and then use a baby wipe to clean them. Now, they're definitely going to be easier to clean because it's silicone. So if you don't clean them up fully, you should be able to just peel it off these blades. Yeah, that's cleaned up lovely. And now all I've got to do is take those off, lower that down, put that to one side. And I'm going to pop them into my resinous degasser. And I'm using the Airless Pro for probably 5 minutes at the most, and then that'll get rid of all the bubbles that are in there. So that's all done now. It's had its 5 minutes. I'm just going to let the air back into that. Pop off my top. And look at that, within 5 minutes, completely bubble free. Although that mixer, I have to say, didn't mix many bubbles in it. I'm now going to add some black pigment to my resin and mix that in, because these colours all work so much nicer when they've got a black background to them. There we are. And now what I'm going to do is pour this in slowly into these moulds right up to the very edge. And the reason is, if I'm going to put some magnets on the back, I want a nice flat back to them. And if I'm going to drill a hole and turn them into pendants, then I can dome the back slightly in case there's any rough areas. Big thank you to everyone that got me a coffee last month. Here are your names on my coffee board. Thank you so much. And big thank you to my fairy godmother, who likes to be anonymous, but I always call her my fairy godmother. Thank you. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, then the link for that is in the description below. Every penny goes back into buying things for this channel or my other channel. So as you can see, I'm pouring these in nice and slow, because that way it will spread out and it hopefully isn't going to trap any little bubbles anywhere. Now, where you've got these little intricate bits, if your resin isn't flowing in, and like I said, this is quite a thick resin, then just take a little micro brush, as I'm doing here, and ease that around slowly and fill those bits up. And then the resin itself will find its own way into there. Now, it's been really, really cold here this winter, unusually cold. So what I'm going to do is leave these to cure up overnight, but ensure that my studio doesn't get too cold. So I'm going to turn the radiator on in here. And the same applies if you're curing things at home as well. Make sure that your room that you're curing in is kept at a consistent temperature, because if not, things will take longer to cure, because you need that exothermic reaction to get a really good cure with epoxy resin. So I'm going to carry on and fill these up in exactly the same way. And then, as I said, leave these to cure overnight, and they're going to come out really pretty. And then I'll show you what finishing touches I'm going to do to these to lift them actually to the next level. Make them far more saleable and make them look really good. Big thank you to all my members whose names are coming up now. If you've got questions or you want to learn more about resin and do it in a very, very safe, extremely supportive and friendly environment, then become a member. There's so much help in there. There's so many gurus in there, and resin experts and crafting experts as well, and lots of different crafts. And you're more than welcome to ask as many questions as you like. Post stuff in there and enjoy the group. Join, the links in the description below. Well, I'm happy with how full they are. Now, I'm going to quickly run over those with a long neck lighter in case I mixed any bubbles into them when I was adding the pigment. Although it doesn't look like I've put many in, if any. Oh, yeah, there was one there. Always use a long neck lighter, please. Never a torch or alcohol. Alcohol will dry out your molds, and it's also not healthy to have it sprayed in your room, and it's very flammable, and a torch will run it far too hot and burn the silicone. There we are, that's all done, and we can leave those to cure up. These are all cured now and ready to demold, so we can take a look. There's the little octopus. I love the way he's coming out. And the jellyfish. That was done with the chrome powders. That's come out really well. And as you can see, these are all beautifully mixed and extremely well. And no bubbles in them either. There's my seahorse. That's all different colours. And that's what I mean with the chameleon flakes. Look how pretty that is. And the light is reflecting off that beautifully. My little fish. The dolphin. And the turtle that's got lots of different colours in it as well. And I did say I'm going to show you how I just really raise these up. And it's such a simple idea. And they're so easy to get hold of. I love these. My son says to me, is there anything that you won't put a googly eye on, Dad? And he's probably right, there isn't. So I'm going to put a little googly eye on things. Now these are the self-adhesive ones, so they're really easy to use. But they stick exceptionally well if you can get the back off them. And that's what I always have problems with, getting this little sticky back off. So look at that now. And then once you stick a googly eye on, I think it just makes them. It really does. Look at that. It just makes it look so cute. And you get lots of different sizes as well, which I love. So these are going to be my fridge magnet ones. And these are the ones that I'm going to turn into pendants. And I'll show you how easy it is to do that as well. And the bigger the eyes I find that you use on these, the cuter they are. Yeah, I think that is about the right size. So I'm going to use that one on there. I'm only going to put a little eye on the dolphin. He looks like a wise dolphin. When I first did this, I couldn't believe how much difference it made to them, but also how much more popular it made them. There's the little jellyfish. There we go. So to turn these into fridge magnets, we now need to put a magnet on the back of these. And what I've got here is some really strong, flexible magnet. And you need to make sure it's the really strong flexible magnet, because if not, it will not hold up the resin pieces. But I find that this one does work well enough. And the easiest way to get this to stick on the back of these is by using 5-minute epoxy. I find it gives it a really, really great hold and doesn't come off at all. And you don't need much of this on there. And this is a 1-to-1 mix, and it does do what it says. It's going to be cured in about 5 minutes. You can't use this for casting or anything like that. It will go yellow really quickly. And the other thing is, it gets very bubbly and it's very thick, as you can see there, look. And all I do is spread that over the back and pop that on there. And we'll let those dry. And once they're dry, they're ready to go. And to turn these into pendants, all I'm going to do is drill a hole in them using my Dremel. Now, if you don't have a Dremel, you can do this by hand. Can't make up my mind which way up I want that one. So now they're done, all I need to do is give those a little bit of a wipe over. How pretty is that? And then to turn them into pendants, I will use these because I love these and I think they give a great finish to any type of pendant. They're not too heavy and they're just fun. There we go. And if you want, you can put your cord through those and sell those or wear them yourself. I'll show you these hanging up in a second as well. The only metal I've got on here is my racking where I keep everything. So I've stuck them on there and they do really stick on there quite well. Look at that. I do like the dolphin. He's cute. So that would be the same as on a fridge. And how much better do those little googly eyes make them look? I think they're so cute. I'm probably going to leave them up there, I think. I don't know. I might sell them. I might keep them. And also, the pendants, especially that one. I think all of them have come out lovely. I hope you've enjoyed this project as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. Check out the video I've got coming up next if you want other bestsellers and easy things to make. Boot that like button, hit that subscribe button. But most of all, enjoy your resin. Take care. Bye.